What's up, y'all? I'm here again with another episode on the Death by Podcast, where we take creatives on the podcast and talk about our shortcomings, how do we get to where we are, maybe some businesses we cultivated, and just kind of like life overall. Today I got my friend here, Shawn, who is a health and fitness expert. You got that right, so I'm going to put his stuff in the link in the description below, and y'all got to check him out. What's up, Shawn?
Sweet. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey, how you doing today, bro?
So far, so good. Can't complain. It's a beautiful day.
It's a beautiful day.
That's
Hey, what I like to say, man, skies are blue, skies are gray. It's a great day.
It rhymes, and that's all that matters, I guess.
It does rhyme.
So get me prepared
Would
for
you-
all my rhymes that I'm going to
Right. Would you believe me that I have that in a rap?
I believe that.
Yeah,
I believe
do.
that. I'm not
Unreleased.
very artistical in that sense, but I'm going to do my best here. You
Yeah,
know, I'm a little bit more analytical.
Hey,
you know?
man. Hey, I mean, it is what it is, you know what I mean? And we all get our skills from somewhere, you know what I mean? Some people are good at other things, and I don't know what. You know what? That gets me thinking. What's your idea on what's the saying? A jack of all trades is a master of none.
Yep.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, when I think of that, like, I used to be someone that wanted to improve all of my weaknesses. And the thing is that from my perspective, it's better to focus on your strengths and not worry about your weaknesses. A lot of people want to be well-rounded, and I think especially as we were talking about like personal branding, right? You are the brand, I'm the brand, and that's what you're branching into. So when you're looking at jack of all trades, master of none, I think what happens is people look at their weaknesses and say, hey, you know what, I want to improve this, I want to be better at this, but then they don't really have something in terms of a niche that they're actually really good at. So if you focus on your strengths more, right? I've taken different like strength tests in terms of, I don't know if you've heard of strength finders. It's a lot about like what your character strengths are. My number one strength is empathy, all right? Which is you want something cool. You wish it was motivation or discipline is your top strength. For me, it's not, right?
Okay.
So
right.
when you look at like LeBron, all right? LeBron's strength is probably competitor, motivator, disciplined, things of that nature. But you don't see LeBron trying to go and be more empathetic because it wouldn't make him who he is, and that's why he's at the top, right? So if I go and I try to become all of this competitor, motivator, things that are really just against my grain in terms of my DNA and soul, then I'm just trying to be good at a couple of different things instead of going all in on empathy, which is actually the best way I can serve the world.
Damn. I really never even thought of that, because originally, I had this talk with my friends before where it's like, I'm trying to do all these different things, and they're like, jack of all trades is a master of none, yada, yada, yada. And then I think I had told you before, I'm like trying to do all these things, and I'm like, why, if not now, then when, or whatever. But I never really thought, never mind the actual action, but also it kind of seems like you're taking, the characteristic of yourself rather, and focusing on where does that take you? You know what I mean? Like the empathetic part, rather than just fitness or just nutrition or just whatever else you happen to be doing, whether rapping or podcast, whatever. It's the actual characteristic. So now I'm curious on where, if I heard you correctly, where my like ultimate strength be within that. What is the website called?
It's called Strength Finders.
Strength
There's
Finders.
a great book. It's like 100 pages. You can read it. It's got about 46 different like character strengths. And I think what happens is like when we're looking at music or fitness or XYZ, insert category of the job title you may have, right? When you think about, if you've ever been to a funeral, right, no one talks about, oh my God, he was so skilled in fitness, right? That's not what people are saying. No, it's, oh my God, the amount of empathy that this person had, the way that this person made me feel is what really matters. So when you can look at the characteristics, traits that you have in XYZ area, that's what people are going to talk about. That's what makes you you. It's not that I'm the most shredded guy or that I know every single thing about fitness, but the way that I'm able to communicate with people and be empathetic and then use that empathy to go and push them and help them to reach whatever goal that they have, that's what people are actually going to remember, not just, oh my God, he was the best personal trainer, or he was the best fitness coach that I ever had.
Right.
No, this guy made me feel this kind of way. This guy helped push me to whatever area that they're looking for because of the like empathetic strength that I have.
Yeah, wow, that's powerful. That's definitely given me like a new light of like looking at things for sure, because I mean, the way I always try to present myself in a, you know, I would like to say I'm empathetic. I understand where people are coming from, and that, you know, we all have our mishaps and our falls and our shortcomings, and maybe that might not always bring out the best, you know, part of us. And, you know, especially when I, you know, go out to do certain things, whether it's going to work with certain people on certain projects, you know, there's always that characteristic within me that's like, that I love to be there with them, you know what I mean? I love to be there connecting with this new person and who they are, and getting to know them, rather than just like work, like, and show that I'm so excellent at what I do, rather than there's that emotional aspect to it too, right? And you know, maybe that's definitely could be something that I could, you know, expand upon knowledgeably, per se. So I, you know, kind of really understand how I can use that towards future projects, or even decision making on whether to put more focus into this rather than more focus into that, because what are the fruits that it's bearing? Like, what's the impact? Because I really care about the impact that my stuff has on people, right? And so whatever that might have to say about me in this test, you know, that'll probably help me decide kind of the directions I want to bring things. Yeah. Which is sick, dude.
If you, like, the biggest thing that's helpful for me, first off, like, when I'm coming onto a podcast or a platform, or even just, like, having a conversation with a person, if I can help them have an aha moment, a breakthrough, a little golden nugget that for some reason helps them, like, nugget. That's awesome, right? Yeah. That's what I think being present in a conversation is one of the most beneficial pieces to. So when you're looking at like your music and your career and all of these different buckets that you're doing, when we're focusing on the outcome, then all that's going to happen is you're just going to focus on the next outcome, the next outcome, the next outcome. If you can shift that perspective to anything that you do, how do I want to make this person feel? Because everything is just a feeling, right? So it's less about, okay, I want $1 million, but it's not that you want $1 million, it's that you want to know what it feels like to have $1 million. That's what it's more about.
Yo, yeah.
Just like you were talking about your the new car that you're getting, right? It's because it's going to make you feel a certain way. You feel a certain way driving the car that you have, but when you have that new car, you want it, even if it's just a subconscious belief, it's because it's going to make you feel a different way, whether that's a status or like something of that nature.
Which is crazy that you say that too, because literally, like, I was sitting in my room watching my church's sermon today, and he was talking about you know, once you, I forget how it came to this, but it was about being a man, right? It was about being a man and you know, taking on manly virtues and just, you know, acting like a man rather than the wimp that the world is trying to make us out to be, putting us in this box and just like, you know what I mean? Anyways, it got to a point where it was like, you know, I'm thinking like, damn, yeah, I would want to be a millionaire, but what would it actually, me sitting in my room right now with all the demons and all the fights that I have within myself and just whatever I have going on in life, what would then happen if I opened up my phone and there was $1 billion in it? Like, yeah, like, of course, we all like have that subconscious, I'm longing to see $1 million in the bank account. But I was really sitting there, I'm like, if I really opened up my phone and I saw that, I would still be sitting there in my room with my same thoughts, my same challenges, my same parents, mother, not saying that they're bad, but like nothing really would change except for the, you know, there's the feeling. But there's also like, you know, the feeling of the car, right? And a lot of us get lost in this, where it's like we think as soon as we reach that feeling of getting whatever that is, everything else is going to go away, and now you're just going to feel that good feeling because now I have a new car, now I have $1 million, my life is complete. What else is there? You know what I mean? But it's always what I learned is it's always these things, these tangible things, right? They promise something they can never deliver. Truly, especially like worldly things, right? Like the $1 million of the car. Like you think it's promising you, oh, now I got the nice car, I'm gonna get a nice girl, you know what I mean? Or I got the nice car, maybe it's gonna get me more friends, or maybe it's gonna get me more notoriety, or maybe it's just gonna make me feel better in general. But at the end of the day, you're still gonna be sleeping in the bed with your thoughts and waking up with the same. Your mind doesn't change. Yep. Unless you make it change. But that's funny that you bring that up, because I was literally just like, damn, if I got $1 million right now. Like, how do you think you would feel if you opened up your phone and there's $1 million sitting in it?
There are certain stressors that would go away, right? I mean, financial stress is one of the biggest leading causes to why, like, people are unhappy, right? And I'm not saying that there's a direct correlation to happiness, but if one of that bucket, right, there are 3 buckets of life, which are wealth, health, and relationships, and at least for me. And so if that wealth bucket is all of a sudden just full, then I can go and focus on the health and the relationship bucket. So yes, it's going to help me, but I know it's not the end all be all. Will I feel more fulfillment and happiness in that moment? A little bit, but is it something at the same time, like, I didn't earn it? It's like, I don't play the lottery.
Right. I also
right?
felt
For
that
me,
too.
Like, I don't play the lottery because, like, I don't want it to be something where I'm just granted
Just
it out of thin air.
Right.
I mean, of course, like, I'm open to receiving, but just with the lottery example, that's not something that I'm looking for. So opening my phone and having $1 million right now, yeah, I do think that I would feel happier and more fulfilled. I'm not going to just sit here and try to lie about that. I think most people would. But would it solve every single problem that I have and completely shift my mindset? No.
Probably not, right. Yeah, I think it also is like, and I don't want anyone to misinterpret this, like, yes, $1 million would help a lot of people, of course, you know what I mean? I could help my mom out with groceries, like, I'll buy it, like, literally I could lift that burden off my mom for my mom and dad forever, fix whatever health problems they got. Money is a very important thing. It's not something to become a slave over, though, you know what I mean? So that's kind of where I was getting at, definitely, like, not making it your God, because it can very easily become that. People win the lottery. It's now that most of the people who win the lottery end up in ruin and destruction, and they wish they never won it because immediately they make it their God, and now it's like they start. I think what I could go back with the bucket thing, right, is the bucket it has labels, right? Yep. So I guess in a way you could say, whatever's supposed to go in this bucket only goes in this bucket. It's not meant to go in the other buckets, right? So I guess maybe what happens there is they take from that wealth, what is it? Wealth,
health, and relationships.
Health and relation.
Yep.
So wealth. So if you take from that wealth in relations to cash, if you take from that, right, and you try to put that in your relations and obviously you could do that for your health too, very easily. But what I'm trying to get at, you start taking from that bucket and putting it, especially in the relations one, right? That just, that money does not buy love 100%. And that was another thing that I had in my brain too, because as a single man, I'm like, damn, I wish I had like a wife or whatever. Like, not like yet, but you know what I mean? Just being a single man, you think about that. But I know that money wouldn't buy me that. You know what I mean? And some people think that's what would happen. So they're taking, the substance that belongs in this bucket and trying to fill it with this bucket, when it siphons its own self. You know what I mean? And that's a really cool, like, kind of way to think about it.
I think if you look at their, like, for example, just what you've told me, like, single man, want a wife, all of these different aspects, right? And so if you can look less at, hey, this is, like, yes, I think it's important to go and have core values and you want to be aligned with that future wife, but right now you're a single guy, and whether you're actively searching or not actively searching, who do you have to become in order to actually have the wife that you desire? And when you can look at that aspect and make it a little bit more intrinsic and internal, all of that external success or health, wealth, relationships that you're looking for will happen. But it's more determined on who do I have to be? Who's the man that I have to be in order to attract that person that I'm looking for?
Right.
And when you can become that person, then all of those external things, that wife will happen. It's just a law of attraction. It has to happen.
Right. You build, I heard this beautiful analogy, you build your garden, butterflies will fly. Butterflies will flock, you know what I mean? Which is dope. Just know which butterfly to choose from, right? But they'll come.
Yeah.
And I think, now I'm thinking, where might nutrition and fitness fit into that? Because I have friends who say they're for whatever reason, and I don't want to make these exact words, but it also kind of seems like they're happier without the gym, which is, I think that's a total lie. I think they're just lying to themselves. But it's like, I try to convince them, right? Like, we all have our demons. We all have our battles. I 100% believe the gym will, and you might agree, I'm not sure, but whatever, that the gym will lift a lot of those burdens, at least make it easier, especially mentally, physically. How might coming from you, do you think fitness kind of fits into, becoming that man or that person who, I believe, what was the word? Intrinsic,
like something more internal. This drive that we're looking for in this person that we want to be. When it comes to health and nutrition and this overall health bucket, right? This is one of the biggest and easiest things that is in your control right now. You control what goes into your body, okay? And when I look at a diet, there's so many different aspects in terms of a diet. Water, sleep, food, all of these different things. But there's other things that go into this diet too, right? If you're going and sitting on Instagram all day long, you're intaking, all right, all
still
of these
consumption.
it's still consumption.
Right.
And so your environment is something that you're consuming as well. And so when I look at someone that wants to go to the gym or doesn't want to go to the gym, I personally want people to live the life that they want to live. But at the same time, I have a higher standard for myself. I'm not going and looking at someone and saying, you're out of shape, like I'm going to go and be brought down to your level. If you want to go and see me and view me as the leader and say, oh my God, like, look at Shawn, he goes to the gym, he works hard, he eats right, all of these different things, you can come into my circle and I can help elevate you in that aspect. And if that's not what you want for myself, I'm not here to go and change people, like change their views, because I think that everyone needs to have their own thoughts and beliefs. And so if you're someone that doesn't want to go to the gym, you can still be healthy in different aspects, right? You can still be healthy by shutting off the news. You can still be healthy by getting proper sleep and actually having energy for the day. You can go and take walks and that's it. But when it comes to health and nutrition, especially of being a man, like, you need to be able to control what you intake, and in turn, all of those other buckets, it will be easier to control those other buckets as well. So your relationships and your wealth, those are easier, all right? The barrier to entry to those become easier when you can actually control that health aspect.
Right.
Because if you're not energized throughout the day, then you're not even going to want to go and work that 15-hour day, right? You're not going to want to go and grind and do the things that you know that you need to do when you don't want to. So
also
I think
do
that
the things that you want to do.
yeah,
right?
and do the things you want to do, right? And we can go back to the example of if I gave you $1 million, but you're not going to wake up tomorrow, right? And that's such an easy example that many people have used. But at the same time, like, health has to be number one because that's it. That's what you can control.
Now, I wonder too, I don't know if you know anyone, because I don't believe I do, but someone who sleeps well, consumes well, but doesn't go to the gym. Because there's plenty of people who go to the gym but the opposite. You know, they don't sleep well, they don't consume well. So do you think that's possible to consume well, sleep well, you know, treat yourself well, but not physically exercise, like at the gym maybe? And you know, I mean, I guess I don't know if you want to put walking in there or take it out.
Yep.
Because you know that is a form of exercise. Yeah. It's definitely very, very healthy for you. But let's just say someone who just sleeps well and eats well. How do you? Do you think there are people out there who do that, or do you know anyone who does that? And two, is that still optimal for your health without the, you know, getting your heart rate up, pumping something, going for a run? You know?
Right. So we're just projecting here. We're just making guesses, right? Because I don't personally know the ins and outs of every single person's daily life, right? Even clients that I work with, I know a good majority of like their daily habits and like how they think, how they operate, but I don't know every single in and out to when they put their head on the pillow, are they fulfilled and are they happy, right? And so looking at someone that was just to go and walk, sleep well, eat well, but not go to the gym, but still have a successful life in their own terms, of course I think it's possible. Yeah. I don't think that you necessarily need to go to the gym to be healthy or have a higher standard for yourself. But it's really just about dictating what you want your life to look like. I don't want my life to look like that. Who am I to go and tell someone else or yourself to not to have to do what I do, right? And so if someone is happy and healthy, of course, I truly believe that you can go and be happy, live a fulfilled life without actually going to the gym. Do I think it's beneficial, even just for mental toughness, to go and get your heart rate up, have better cardiovascular health? Yes, of course.
Go through adversity.
Yeah, go through adversity, right?
Willingly.
And the gym is one of the easiest ways to get there.
Right.
So I think it's possible, but I just don't think it's optimal.
Yeah, okay, that's good, and that's interesting too. I think now you've enlightened me a little bit more because you know, I've had people in my life where you could clearly tell someone's going through something. You can clearly tell, or you can clearly tell that they're not living up to their full potential, and they're just in denial or you know, just kind of comfortable or whatever. And my thing has always just been like, dude, just come to the gym with me. Like, just come to the gym with me. Just come to the gym with me. But now it's just intriguing on like, I think, you know, obviously I'm not like, yo, you need to like, I'm gonna make fun of you if you don't, you know, it's not like that, but it's more like, how might you be able to push upon someone in a caring way where it's like, you know, either go to the gym or eat healthy, or you know, because usually often or not, like those people don't eat healthy and they don't sleep well. You know what I mean? So it's like they already don't go to the gym, and there's probably no getting them into the gym until they actually really want to go. But it's like, how else do you even bring that into them? I mean, I guess it really falls upon them at the end of the day. You know, you can give them so much love and so much uplifting. You know, it's just an interesting thing to like think about. What might the alternative be for that person who hates the gym? You know what I mean? But
so there's two questions here, right? There's what do we do with the person that hates the gym but wants to be healthy? But the first part of your question is more of, how can we motivate someone that you see or feel may be struggling and bring them with us, right? Because we want to be able to elevate our circle. We want the world to be a better place, right? And so this is one of the always the most difficult questions to bring upon someone. I've called people out when they're drinking too much, right? I've called people out when they're eating unhealthy, right? When they're just in that mental rut, they're just like bleh about life. And there's many nuanced approaches to this, right? I personally can't. It's more important to disconnect yourself a little bit from like what someone outside of me wants. The only thing that you can do at the end of the day is continue to show up for yourself, and hopefully that will inspire that person.
Because it shows.
It shows,
It
right?
shows.
And you move different, you walk different, you feel different. It's that energy in the room of like, oh my God, like this person has that gravitational pull towards me. And so if I have a friend that's going through it, I can empathize with them and say, hey, look, I can sit here and cry with you for a minute, but at the same time, like, we got to get going and we got to do something.
What are we going to do after that? Right.
And the thing is, when you disconnect yourself from that, here's the end all be all to it. I can be a guide to someone, but I cannot be the hero in their own story.
Right.
All right. And that's what it comes down to. As much as I want you to change, and as much as like I know that you have the potential to change and that you can start to instill these healthy habits and all of these things, I can't do it for you. I can't force you to come to the gym with me. I can't force you to eat healthy. I can show you the way. And if you want to come, awesome. But if you don't, I can't feel bad about it.
Right.
And that's what it is at the end of the day. I personally don't give sympathy to people anymore, because I believe that if I give sympathy to someone, then I am affirming them that they can't change their situation. And I believe that for the most part, no matter what situation you're in, we're sitting outside with 2 phones here, all right, doing a podcast. Like, you can sit and talk about how bad your life is, but we're not in a third world country just making 2 cents an hour either, right? And so it's a big perspective shift.
Right.
So when you want to be able to go and change someone, it's always going to start with them. You can continue to invite them out, things like this, and you can keep trying, but at the same time, just knowing, like, if this person doesn't want to change their life, it's not on me, you know?
And so does that sympathy part with you know, they're in the depths or whatever, that sympathy, does that kind of give them almost like a comfortable, like hug, like they're hurting, but now you're giving them this comfortable hug rather than like in a nice way, like, no, like, okay, I'm sorry that you feel this way, but like, get up. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Is that, I think that's what I was kind of getting from what you were saying, is that by sympathizing with them, that, you know, their life sucks, they can never get anything right, whatever the excuses are. Yeah. Giving them that sympathy, rather than, you know, feeling the empathy, giving them that sympathy gives them like almost like they're laying in this rut, right? And you just put a blanket over them. Yeah. That's rather than like, hey, get up out of the rut. Yeah. You know what I mean? Come with me this way to the better side of the whatever analogy you want, you know.
I think it's just important to look at their situation, understand what they're going through, but help them understand that they can get out of it. That's all that I'm looking to do. Because if I just sit there and put that blanket over you, oh, poor you, and then we just go our separate ways, what really got accomplished? Right. Nothing. You feel a little bit better for a couple of minutes or an hour, and then you're right back into that same mental place that you were. And so pulling someone out of those feelings of shame and guilt and all of these lower tier levels of consciousness is not easy. Right. So if I just affirm that, then all that's happening is, okay, when I feel shame and guilt, like if this was happening between the two of us, if you were feeling that shame and guilt and you were like, oh my God, poor me, and I just affirmed you and said, oh yeah, you have it really tough, man, you're going to feel good. And you're just telling yourself, all right, even at a subconscious level, that this shame and guilt will provide me safety. Right. And you're
almost like you're supposed to be feeling it.
I don't necessarily think like that you're supposed to be feeling it. I think a better wording would just be that it's necessary for you to feel that in order for you to feel the opposite as well. Okay. If you had happiness here and sadness here, and you took away sadness, then all you knew was happiness, then you don't have anything. And I understand that that's like a little bit higher level of thinking, not saying that you don't understand, right? But in order to feel happiness, you must also feel the sadness. Right. So when you can look at both emotions and truly feel both of them through, then that's where more of those blissful moments will come in. Right. The sun ends up shining. 50 Cent has this one song. I was just thinking in my head, it's like, sun don't shine without rainy days or something.
I can't remember the song, but I was just thinking of that visual, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And the rainbow always comes.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The rainbow always comes after that storm, you know,
Yep.
which is like, it's a beautiful sight. That's where, you know, a new, you know, you level up after that storm, and the sun comes, you level up.
Yeah.
And you could feel it. And I think, but the only way to level up is if you're consistent within that storm with certain good habits, right? Because, you know, I'm sure you've felt with your business that you're running, I'm sure you felt plenty of times where, you know, you're down and you're like, either something didn't go good that week and now you're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why should I even put in the work today to get my business to the next level? Should I even keep like, oh yeah, I have a client today, like whatever, just go through the motions. You know what I mean? We all get in that spot where it's just like you're so down on yourself and you're in that ditch, right? You're in that ditch, and rather than receiving that blanket, you know what? You're like, nope, I don't want that blanket. Let me get up, keep walking, but also walk within community too, because you know, brothers who, you know, people who flock together. What's the phrase? Flock together, stay together.
I think it's if you fly together, flock to. I don't know.
It's
I don't know what it
brothers
is.
are the same. Something like that, where it's like, you know, if you're walking...
I know what you're trying to say, but I don't know exactly what it is. Yeah.
Iron sharpens iron, so you want to hang around iron, you know, rather than wood. But, you know, it was a terrible analogy, but like...
That's okay.
You know, you want to hang around people when going through this adversity to lift you up, right? Because rather than hanging around someone who's just going to give that blanket to you, you want to hang around someone who's going to lift you up out of that ditch and bring you through this storm, you know, keep walking through. And I'm a believer in Christ, so that, you know, Christ didn't walk up the hill with his cross by himself. He had a brother to help him carry it up. So if even a child of the God incarnate is down here asking for help, you know, that's what we should do. And through my views, you know what I mean? And just like as a people, like I think just as a people, no matter what you believe, I think we all know that, you know, the iron sharpens iron. You know, we're better in community. Longevity comes through community. You know, it's not just being healthy. I mean, that is part of being healthy, but it's not just eating healthy or going for a run. Community is huge within longevity. You know, and just having those people around you to bring you through that, you know, is super important. You know, and the consistency, right, to get through the storm, because that consistency is almost preparing you for the next battle. You know what I mean? Because you know, if you can get through this, man, you can get through anything. You know what I mean? And that's just a continual thing. You know what I mean? It's you always hear the phrase, get 1% better every day, right? And that, I think that 1% counts so much more than the 100%, right? Because that 1% usually comes in the days that are gray, the days where you really don't feel like getting up and going, the days you really don't feel like getting up and signing in, logging in, clocking in, right? And that's where the 1% comes in, because it starts to stack up, because now, you know, you really, it's all a climb, man. It's all a climb. And actually in a previous podcast, my friend Armani, who's an artist, he said this very interesting analogy. I didn't know where it was going at first, but he's like, there's two wolves, right? And there's one wolf at the top of the mountain, and there's one wolf at the bottom of the mountain. Which wolf do you think you should be? I'm going to ask you before I give you the answer.
Well, I already think that it's going to be the wolf at the bottom of the mountain. Yeah.
Because of the way I approached it, or did you actually like... Because you also seem very enlightened as well, so you probably already, like, just by analyzing it, you would think.
My guess of where you're going, not to ruin it for you, is... the path of the climb versus the path of already having something. That's my guess of where you're going to go with
ultimately
that.
And also complacency as well, because that the wolf at the top of that mountain, you know what I mean, how high is that mountain? It could be this high. You know what I mean? And he's chilling right there, rather than the wolf at the bottom who's always climbing, and now he's at the bottom of the next one, climbs up, now he's at the bottom of the next one. You know, you always want to be at the bottom of the next climb, you know what I mean? Because complacency is that's a tough thing. You know what I mean? I've definitely had my big victories, and I'm like, all right, well, I get to chill out for a week, for a month, for however long, you know what I mean? Now I'm good. I completed this today. I'm done. Like, I got my victory. I got complacent, you know what I mean? And that's where you find yourself back in that ditch. That is where you find yourself at the top of those mountains, is where you find yourself right back in the ditch. You know, which is it's almost the opposite of what you might think, you know what I mean?
And when you just look at that, like a big brawl going on here. stare down.
I got my
So-
dog baby back there. She's in the back making a noise.
When you look at like always wanting the climb and things like this, like there's this nuanced approach of, all right, always be going to the next big thing. I need to go and have the next big challenge. I can never be complacent.
Right.
But then where does the gratitude for where you're at come in as well? So I think that's just about finding the balance of like what's going to bring you the satisfaction, but also becoming the person that you need to be. It's just like when I'm looking at like goals and more towards the beginning of our conversation, it's less about all of those external like markers that you hit, $10,000 a month, $1 million in your bank account, having the best relationship or whatever, or having this shredded body. It's more about, all right, I am great, finding that gratitude for what you have now, and then figuring out who you want to continue to want to be. I think when you can look at it that way and having this approach of the external things, sure, they're awesome and they matter, but when you can just focus on who you want to be and how you want to serve the world, it becomes easier to be less complacent.
Yeah, that's awesome. Definitely, bro. Yeah, complacency is definitely a hard thing to get over. I think also like behaviors like that, I always kind of somehow find myself back here. But like addiction is like a huge, obviously it's a huge thing, but addiction goes so much further than just drugs. You know what I mean? It goes all the way to the core of human behavior. And that could be, almost like an addictive action where you find yourself at the top of this peak and you get complacent, you go back right down, you know what I mean? And there's this neuroscientist I listen to quite often. You know who Andrew Huberman is? Yeah, he's awesome. I think he's University of Stanford, I believe he teaches at. But he talks a lot about this stuff where it's like, you get to, there's this one episode where you get to the top of the mountain, right? And your dopamine's spiking. But as it's spiking, for some reason, once you hit that victory, it drops. And your brain is immediately like, it drops like ever so slightly too, which is like so weird how it's just like extreme. But your brain just immediately like, no, we need to get that back up now. So it's almost like whatever that is, you're just gonna fall into it immediately, and you have to keep going. You know what I mean? That's where either something just creeps up on you where it's like, you go back to an old habit which gets you back into that rut, whether it's weed, porn, alcohol, whatever drug, or just like going out, doing whatever, you know what I mean? Or even just like your brain automatically thinks, all right, time to take a nap, like 5-hour nap, you know what I mean? Whatever. It goes, it's very widespread. It's an interesting thing, like just and also to combat that too, to give a little value to that, a good practice I found is when you hit that spot where that dip comes, replace it with something that's either productive or creative. They say something that's creative because it's it's a good output. But if you replace that with something creative, each time you get to that dip, right, and you keep doing that, you'll become addicted to doing that rather than going to whatever substance that's going to bring you down. You're now like, all right, I'm feeling this dip. Oh, let me go draw. Oh, I'm feeling this dip. Oh, let me go make music. Someone like me. Oh, I'm feeling this dip. Oh, let me do 10 push-ups. You know what I mean? Let me go make a fruit smoothie or something. Something that's productive, creative, or ultimately just like better consumption. To bring it, kind of tie it all in. There's
a lot that I could talk about too. I don't know if you had another talking point there, or if I could intervene.
I'm just kind of yapping.
Just
kind of going on.
Just because I want to always give like the most actionable steps to people, which I think are important whenever you have a conversation like this.
Right.
It's one thing to go and just have a conversation about whatever and not actually have actionable things that you can look at. But when people can listen to this podcast, use their own discernment in terms of take my beliefs, take your beliefs, and form their own beliefs from it, I think that's very important to have. So on the topic of behavior change, there's a lot of different ways that you can look to approach it. Now, I'm not as well versed as someone like Andrew Huberman in something like dopamine, right?
Right.
But in terms of basic behavior change, there are many ways that you can start to approach it, especially with addictions. I'm not an addictions counselor or anything like that, but I've been through my own trials and tribulations with things like alcohol. I've helped others do that. It's not something that I'm just marketing like, hey, come to me and I can help you get over alcohol, because personally, I don't believe I'm qualified to do that. Now, if someone wants to trust in me and say, hey, this is where I'm struggling, can you help me? Yes, I can do my best to help you, but it's not something where I'm like, this is what I do.
This is right.
Yeah. So I only know from people that I've helped and my own trials and tribulations. Now, when I look at behavior change, what happens is often there's a trigger, all right, which is often an emotion or something that could happen, right? So I get out of work and the trigger is me getting out of work feeling stressed. That's the trigger. Now there comes so now there comes the behavior.
Right.
And with that trigger, every time you have that same trigger, okay, now I go and smoke a cigarette because I have this trigger of stress. My brain is telling me when there is stress, this is the behavior that I do.
This is what you do, right.
And now there's a reward. So after that behavior comes the reward. The reward is that momentary stress relief, right? And so I put stress relief in quotations here just because smoking a cigarette is not a end-all be-all to stress relief. It's a very small moment where your brain is tricking itself that it's relieved of stress. So if you can change one of the three, trigger, behavior, or reward, you can start to change your behavior. So if you went and said, every time I'm stressed, this is the behavior I do, now can I just put a different behavior in there, you're saying, right? It's more difficult to be said than actually done.
Right.
Or can I change the reward? If every time I smoke a cigarette, could I send $20 to my friend, right? Then the reward, instead of it being a good positive reward, it's a negative external reward. And now every time you smoke a cigarette, you send $20 to a friend. Now you're less likely to go and smoke that cigarette. So there's a lot of different ways that you can look at behavior change. And then I feel like I had one more point to go off of, but I believe that that's where we can leave it for now. That way people can go listen to this, intake it understand their triggers, what's happening, and then how can I go and change this behavior, or how can I go and change the reward.
Yeah, I didn't really know that you could actually break it down that much further. That was interesting, rather than, because I was just thinking, all right, now there's this dip, now what do I fill it with? But that's beautiful that you bring it up, because everything, once you break down things more, because everything comes with components, you know what I mean? And to really understand something, you have to break down those components. So that's awesome. And I hope some of y'all can really take that into consideration when you go to your next, whatever that next trigger is, whether it's the stress or, you even when you get reward and now you're like, all right, I need more, or whatever that is, evaluate that, break it down. What's the, what is it, the behavior, reward?
So there's a trigger, there's the behavior, and then there's the reward.
So it's about understanding when the trigger happens.
Yeah.
Right?
So oftentimes it's a lot of, you have the same trigger that makes it so that you have the behavior.
Right.
It's not that when you go and drink alcohol that you just go and drink alcohol right in the morning for some people, right? It's more, okay, this is, I like to use the job, like a job component a lot, because it's easy for people to understand and look at their own job, right? And so if after every time that you have a shift, you go and have a drink, that's that trigger. The trigger is how the job is making you feel, because there's an emotion attached to it. And then when you can look at that emotion or look at the environment that's giving you that emotion, then you can look to try to change one. And so it's just about bringing self-awareness to that in order to go and change the behavior.
Yeah. And I believe you can't change the stress, right? Because you're always going to feel that. You're going to feel that no matter what you're doing in life. It's going to come, right? It's really just the changing of the behavior and the reward.
Yes and no, because we're always going to feel stress, but stress is just, you're going to feel it differently, right? So if you went and got another job, you may feel a different stress from that job, and that may not lead to the same behavior. So the biggest thing that I can try to portray to people to help them change their actual behavior, and I'll give you another tidbit that I've found very helpful for myself and other clients. But when you look at these stressors, you can just go and change the entire environment. And I'm not telling people to go and quit their job, but if that's what's like the end all be all to the behavior, then perhaps building some self-awareness to that, you can go and find another job that doesn't give you that same stress, and then the behavior will change.
Right.
If you just go and change your entire environment, it's like when people go on vacation, all right? And what happens is someone that goes and smokes cigarettes every single day, and I often use the cigarette as a easy example because it's very relatable to people, all right? If you go on a vacation, you may not have those same cigarette cravings, right? Because your entire environment is changed, right? And so if you can just go and change the environment, you may not have that same behavior that's attached to it. But then as soon as they come back from the vacation, they go right back to their job and boom, they're back on the cigarettes, right? So changing your environment is a big way to help dictate how to change your behavior. Now, for another just actionable approach to this, what you can look at is building trust within yourself and different behaviors. Now, this is a topic that I'm very passionate about, just that I call personal integrity. And now the way that I define this is the way that you trust yourself, okay? If I told you, hey, we're going to go to the gym tomorrow at 6 a.m. and I'll pick you up, and then tomorrow came and I didn't pick you up, you would lose a little bit of trust in me. You would be like, oh, why didn't he come and pick me up? Like, and then I texted you at 8 o'clock, hey, sorry, slept in. But I said, the next day, for sure, I will come and I will pick you up. And then the next day comes and I don't pick you up. Maybe that's all it takes for you to lose your trust in me and say, I can't go to the gym with you anymore, all right? This is often what happens when we tell ourselves we're going to do something and then don't follow through. It's the same thing of we're able to hold ourselves accountable to others, but we're not able to hold ourselves accountable to ourselves.
That's fire, bro.
So when you can go and look at very small behaviors, right? You say that you're going to wake up at 6 a.m. tomorrow and you don't do it. All that you're doing is you're telling yourself that, hey, I promised myself that I was going to do this, but instead I broke that promise. And over time, you lose trust within yourself. It may not feel that way, but that's what's happening.
It's a very subconscious thing.
Yeah, it's very subconscious. So now, when you go and tell yourself, this is what I'm going to do, you're less likely to do it because you've already had this pattern of breaking trust within yourself. So if you can go and pick a very, very small habit to go and change, something that you can stick to for a week, it's not, and if I was to tie this into health and nutrition, a lot of people want to go from 0 to 100. I want to start they're not going to the gym, I'm going to go 5 days a week. I'm not eating healthy, I'm going to change my entire diet. And it's very unsustainable. If you can go and pick one small habit, you know what, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to get to bed by 9 o'clock. And I'm going to hold myself to that for an entire week. You are all of a sudden building that trust within yourself, and now the behaviors that are outside of that, there's going to be an easier barrier to entry in terms of how you operate and you actually keeping your promise to go and change those behaviors. So if you can pick one small thing, and that's what I'd urge anyone listening to do, if you can go and pick one small thing, what's something I can actually stick to? All right, can I stretch for 1 minute every day? It feels really subtle, right? But can I stretch for 1 minute every single day? Hold yourself to that. You build that trust within yourself, and then over time, now you can start stacking, and it's easier to go and make more commitments to yourself.
Damn. If y'all didn't get that, y'all better replay what this man just said, because that was freaking fire. Holy crap, bro. You're opening my eyes to like new things, and I freaking love that, dude. Like,
appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, that's beautiful, because it's always just so much deeper than just what's on the surface level. You know what I mean? And once you really break it down, like the components, man, you uncover some real truth. Also, I think like that brings down like confidence too, 100%, which then spreads across the board. You know, confidence shows, you know, within your workplace, or just like even if you're working with clients, right? And you're not even putting the best that you can give to them, because you're just not even confident in what you're doing, and now it's just sloppy. And it also just brings down like just your mental health 100%, because now, you're not following through with the things that you trust. You don't trust in yourself. You don't believe in yourself now. Now you don't believe in, if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going anywhere. My goodness, you're not doing nothing. You're not going to accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish. And then, that's, now you're literally living complacency. You're living in that. And it's dude, that's just crazy. But, the small habit thing is huge. The small habit thing is that goes back to, I think, the 1%, right? Yeah. It goes back to the 1%. I think one really good example that I have with that in my life is reading. This past year, I just took it upon myself to start reading, because I've read maybe a total of 3 or 4 books in my life, and that was in middle school because I had to for a grade. But it literally started off with one sentence, maybe a week, if not a couple weeks, and then that one sentence would turn into a paragraph a week, and then it would turn into a 1 page every couple of days. Eventually, now, I've been off. I still read once a day. I was reading twice a day, which is crazy. But now that you have to accept your victories. I was doing that, and I still read once a day, and even just reading once a day, coming from what I was, it was that 1%. It was that always little tiny consistent habit. And I'm what? I'm reading 1 sentence a day. I'm reading 1 paragraph a day. Now it's 1 page a day. Dude, and I could read more than that, but that's crazy to just think I got so far, you know what I mean? And which is awesome, and it eventually just keeps building up until, you see, where it comes from. And it's funny too, because I'll have certain conversations with my friends, and they'll be like, "Oh, Dan, you've been reading for real?" Because they can tell by the way I talk. Some of my speech has changed. It also came from podcasts too, for sure. But reading, gives you this certain confidence in speaking, I believe. And just also creativity, but you use certain words differently. But you, like I said, you're gonna see where it comes from. You're gonna see the fruits that it bears. You reap what you sow, and it'll show. Yeah. Damn, that's a bar. That rhymes.
Yeah, that's you reap what you sow is one, I believe that's in the Bible, which I have not personally read. Yeah. But two,
I'm still trying to read it.
That's also just one of the laws of the universe, is that you reap what you sow, right? It's the law of action. And so when we look at, I can either touch on the confidence component or just the way that reading can help you, right? And I don't know which one you think would be more important to your listeners.
Either or.
Yeah, but I'll just start with the confidence component. And so one of the biggest things that I think would be beneficial is, just as you were saying, looking at how far you've come. So oftentimes we look at how far we still have to go, right, and we don't look at how far we've come. And the issue with that, when there's no retrospection, I believe that's the wrong word, but I'm going to use it here, just reflection. So when you're not looking at how far you've come, you're not celebrating all of those wins, right. And it's much more beneficial to stack up those wins, celebrate how far you've come, because that puts you in a completely different energy. Versus if you continue to beat yourself up, you're telling yourself, this is the energy I'm going to put myself in, and so now you're going to continue to look for that. Right. But if you continue to celebrate those wins, now you're going to look for more of that. It's just how your brain is wired. Right. There's called something your reticular activating system, where basically what that is, it's like a search and rescue. And so whatever you're looking for is what you will find. It's like when you get a new car, right?
A new car.
think about the car that you're going to get, right? Once you were set on that car, or even once you get it, all of a sudden, when you get that car, you start to see more of them, right?
Right.
And so,
the red car theory?
Yeah, so it's not that the red car or the car... Yeah, so I'm not 100% familiar with the red car theory, but when someone gets a new car, right, and all of a sudden you start to see more of them around, it's not that they were never there, it's just that that's what you're looking for, and so that's what you will find. Right. And so if you continue to celebrate your wins, that's what you'll be looking for, and that's more of what you'll find. That's that's that mindset component that can start to shift.
Right.
The more that you can look for wins and opportunities, the more that you will find them. Versus if you continue to keep yourself in this pattern of shame and guilt and all of this negative energy, that's what you're telling yourself you want, and that's what you will find. So I think that
almost creating a world around you, right?
Yeah. So that really bridges a lot into confidence, just because if you can celebrate how far you've come and accept where you are, but also understand where you're going, it's easier to build that confidence than have this fake sense of confidence of, well, this is what I want over there, but I don't have any evidence.
Right.
There's evidence for every single person that they can have confidence in what they're doing.
Right.
So
yeah,
I hope that was beneficial.
Yeah, no,
to
that
some
was
degree.
that was dope.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I think to go back just a little bit, with like, you know, being aware of like your victories, stacking them up, whatever, and just like allowing yourself to know how far you come. Also, don't minimalize that too, because you know you could. I've definitely done this plenty of times. I'll look back at like, you know, I did get all this stuff done, and I'm like, well, it's not that much. Now I just minimalized it. Now I just took my confidence and crushed it. Belief system crushed it. Just crushed all that. You know what I mean? The trust, everything. So don't minimize your victories. Do not minimize how far you've come. You know what I mean? Don't minimize the challenges that you've overcome. Don't minimize it, because that's already setting you back. That's pushing you back. You just took 5 steps backwards by doing that alone. Whatever ratio you want to do with that, right? And the red car theory is, so how many red cars did you see on the way here?
I have no idea. Probably
right, because you weren't
weren't
looking for them, right?
Yeah.
So that goes right into that, because if I were to, as soon as you leave, I'd be like, all right, look for red cars.
Yeah.
Now you're going to see what you're looking for.
Yep.
Right. So, you know, that ties in perfectly. But yeah, it's you'll definitely see what you want to see. You'll believe what you want to believe.
Yep.
And you'll and it ultimately goes to what kind of world you're creating around yourself. You know what I mean? The way you look at everything and what you end up attracting.
Yeah.
Right. It's almost like you attract the sight of red cars. It's weird.
You really just attract what you are, and your external world is a lot of just a reflection of your internal world. And to have just a couple more actionable steps that people can take, not to overwhelm them with information, but again, I like to try to give as many different golden nuggets as possible.
Yeah, definitely.
Because something that I may have said earlier may not resonate for someone, but what I'm going to talk about may resonate for you and be able to actually change different behaviors.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely.
And so when you're looking at creating your reality, so there's another cycle of what's happening. There's your thoughts, which dictate your beliefs, and your beliefs will dictate your actions, and then your actions will dictate your thoughts, and it's this cycle. So in order to just change that entire pattern, all you have to do, and it sounds easy, but it's difficult, right? You just have to change one of them. So if you have this thought of
disrupts the system.
Yeah, it's a pattern interruption, okay? Which I could get into interrupting a different pattern. But let me try to explain just thoughts, behaviors, and actions, and then I'll talk about interrupting a certain pattern. Okay? Because I think they can both be helpful.
Right.
So this cycle, it can be vicious, because if you're not taking any action, you have these thoughts of, I can't do this. Then you start to think, I don't believe in myself, I can't do this because I'm not taking any action. So if you can just go and change one of them, the cycle will begin to change. Now, if you just change an action, I really don't feel like doing this, but you know what? You go and do it anyways, then you'll start to have different thoughts. Okay, I didn't feel like doing that, but now, I did it. Now I'm going to have different thoughts, which lead to a different belief system that I'm going to create. That different belief system will in turn dictate different actions.
So it all connects,
and now you can continue to do that cycle.
Full circle, yeah.
That's why things like journaling can be important too, right? This story that's stuck in your head, once you get it, it's like reading a book up close, okay? All of these thoughts stuck in your head. But once you put it down on paper, it's like reading a book and you're actually looking at it. Then you can go and look at these thoughts and you're like, oh, this is what I was thinking? And then it's easier to dissect it and go and change those thoughts. Changing those thoughts leads to that belief system, leads to the different actions.
Yeah.
Now, when you're stuck, the biggest thing, a lot of people just get stuck where they are, okay? And so a lot of times what I do for clients, I love to interrupt a pattern, okay? Because you and I are both in this certain state of energy right now. We could be enthusiastic, prideful, whatever, insert emotion, okay?
Insert emotion.
So people get stuck in this, all right, I'm sad right now. But if I told you, hey, get up and I want you to do jumping jacks and scream the ABCs, okay? It seems really silly. But at the same time, what's happening is it's so ridiculous that now you're not even in that emotion of sadness and despair and just stuck. You're in a, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, that interrupts that pattern. It's the same thing with like going and, if we were to go and just run into that ocean right now, we would be changing our state, which in turn will change how you feel. And when you change how you feel, you can go and take different actions.
That's fire, bro. That's fire. You know,
There's a lot of different ways that you can go and change like your reality. I'm just trying to give like a bunch of different approaches.
Yeah,
here,
no,
you
and
know?
I love that you supply a lot of that, because sometimes it's, you know, there's not always just one solution.
It's not a one size fits all for anyone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it's good to have a broad scale and you know, gain knowledge upon different things and see what works for you, right? Because not everything, like you said, it's not one size fits all. What my morning routine probably doesn't look anything like your morning routine, and if we were to switch, we'd probably be like, what? Like, what do you? Yeah, right. Because it's you know, whatever healthy habits you perform works for you, and whatever healthy habits I perform works for me, right? We might have some similar aspects, and it kind of all goes towards the same thing, which is just elevating ourselves.
Yep.
But right, like you said, and it's funny that you talked about the ocean. I actually brought my bathing suit.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna jump in after this.
Oh, nice.
Just to send it.
Sweet. Yeah.
But yeah, man. How much time? I think we have to be at like an hour and a half. This has to be the longest podcast I've ever done. Oh, we're only at an hour? Oh my gosh! Wow. All right, that's not bad.
Yeah.
That was dope, dude. I feel like
Sweet.
we could talk for like so long.
Yeah, appreciate you having me.
Yeah,
for sure.
no,
Yeah.
definitely.
I'm always trying to just put some type of wisdom out into the world, and you know, I think the biggest, most important thing is just being present with you, and being able to go back and forth and feed off of each other a little bit and have something that we can both take away.
100%, dude.
So.
100%. The connectivity, I love it. Sharing the knowledge. Knowledge is not power. Applying knowledge is power.
Yep.
Which is dope. My boy Kendall told me that one time.
Yep.
He just told me that, like, which is like, it's so simple, right?
Yeah.
But it's like powerful, which is like, is awesome. And he just told me that, I think a couple months ago. I think right before we filmed our first podcast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
me and my boy
Yeah.
Kendall. Yeah, he was like, he told me that. I was like, damn, bro.
Well, you could know everything about a podcast, but if you don't do it, then it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know?
Which is, damn, that's tough.
Yeah.
I think we know what time it is.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we all know what time it is. Yeah, word. All right, I'm going to set that up. Cool. Oh, got to turn it upside down. All right. And I'm just sitting here, chilling, and I see my girl, baby, she looking like a villain. She all black, but she won't attack, because she's a nice girl. We sit at the crib and count stacks, making passive income while I'm paying chess. And you boys playing checkers. Better check yourself, because we gonna hit you like woodpeckers. On the wood, on the wood, what's good? Cause we good in the hood, baby. See where we at, we in the B. See where we at, we in the big B. Not Boston, I'm talking Bristol. Yeah, man, I don't tote a pistol, but I got fists for you. Get a left hook, right hook, and uppercut you in the chin. Yeah, and I'ma be home in time for din. Never step or disrespect my family, cause that's how we come in with calamity. Yeah, check it, see the sunflowers and smell the roses. I got guns and blind. Oh wait, no. Wait, smell the roses, cause I got guns and flowers in the car. I'll be ready for whatever, whether it's love or war. We coming at your heart, and I'm chilling on the beach, man. And I'm chilling on the beach, and a shorty call me Big Meech. And I'm just putting joy in my life. Not playing no toys, not playing with no ploys. And I'm about to pass the mic, cause I'm running out of words now. Oh man. I can't laugh.
All right. Can't believe I gotta do this again.
Oh, doing it again.
Yet, here we are. and we're playing it again. So this was a sweet conversation, and this rhyme is up and twirling, but I've really got nothing, and that's because the first one was balling. So now I'm here with the second, and it's not making sense, but I'm doing my best to go and pay my rent. So that's about all I got. Thanks for listening. And if you got anything out of this, subscribe and listen.
Subscribe and listen.